Right, Jamie, Scunthorpe's probably the longest run out we've had so far
Yeah.
for Cheltenham, wasn't it? And what did you think of the second half? Because you had most of the possession, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought we did actually well. I think on overall, from probably I'd say the first 20 minutes. After that, I thought we did fairly well, really. Dominated the game. I think because we were one down, we probably, with the possession we had, maybe rushed things and weren't really as calm on the ball as we would have been if it was 0-0. I suppose we were trying to get back in the game, so maybe snatched at things when maybe we could have played things a bit more simple. So on the whole, I think we did okay. It was just a case of obviously another silly goal very early on, and if you give teams 1-0 starts, it's sort of easier for them to hold on to, and they managed to do that. And the chances we did have, we didn't really take.
Yeah. Do you think you should have had a penalty?
I think so. Yeah, I think I was tugged back. I know Dion, to be fair, in the next corner he was chuckling, saying, "Oh, I'll try and give you another one." So he did definitely touch me. Obviously, wasn't really seen. So disappointing. I think the boys were more disappointed with the one in the first half. I think they thought it should have been handball. I then had another sort of chance which sort of probably caught it too clean and straight at the goalie. So on the whole, we probably had the better chances, and we ended up coming away losing 2-0. So it's disappointing, but I think purely because we give away an early goal and then we're always chasing the game, and obviously late on they get another one from us obviously trying to push on. But I think the games we have won, it's a case of because we've kept clean sheets and stayed in the game, and we've sort of tried to say that from the beginning of each game is literally keep a clean sheet, stay in the game, just be in a position to win it. And when you go one down after 5 minutes, you're not really giving yourself a chance, and I think that's why we've come short on a lot of occasions now.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk of trying to work out why you've let in so many early goals this season.
Yeah, I suppose we have. I think we've worked hard on the training ground. I mean, I think the thing we're finding is actually everything in training is going very well. We're training hard and everyone looks sharp, and then we're just not producing that on a Saturday for some reason. So we have to get that right. That's where we earn our money and earn our points, and it's all okay training well, but they're not producing on a Saturday. So we're doing our best, and at some point we're going to turn it around. I think we maybe thought it might have been a turning point the last home game when we got a win late on, and we haven't backed that up, and that's been our problem. We win one and lose two and then win again or get a point. I think we need to go on a run of 5, 6, 7 games unbeaten and start to sort of get some points together and move up the league. And I think once we start doing that, then you'll probably see a better Cheltenham.
You've turned it around at home, haven't you? Really become a lot more difficult to beat and got the win at home now.
Yeah.
But it's just the away form you've been struggling a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. At home, I think we had the discussion that Dave's obviously come in and been all new, and he said at home he feels we look comfortable that we can beat anyone, and then away from home for some reason we're not looking that solid. And really that should be sometimes an easier way if you stay solid. Bring teams onto you and we can break on them. We've got pace in the team, and we've got a side that can counter on teams quite well. And I think because away from home, especially the last few games, we've conceded so early, we haven't really been able to sort of get our game plan going, and we're always chasing the game. So it is a case of trying to get the first sort of 20, 30 minutes out of the way, feel yourself into the game, and then you'll grow into it and perform how you want. But at the moment we're not allowing that.
Have you been sort of wondering whether there's a way of finding room for you in the team as well as Byron and Terry? Because everyone would probably agree they've been doing well, but obviously you've come on and also influenced the game.
Yeah, I suppose it's obviously the decision the manager has to make. I said when I first come back that the front two have been doing very well, scoring goals, so there was no right for me to come straight into the team. So it's just a case of biding my time. I think I've come on now 3 or 4 times, and I felt good. I obviously got a goal 2 weeks ago. That's all I can do. It's then down to the manager what he decides, whether he thinks that 3 of us can play together, or it's a case of 2 out of the 3 and someone has to miss out. So obviously that's down to the gaffer, and that's why he's there. He has to make those decisions. All I can do is work hard in training and put pressure on him and hope that he picks me, and then you've got to do a job to stay in the team. And I think Byron and Terry both know that they've got to keep doing a job to keep me out. So it's healthy competition, and I think forward-wise we are looking very good and more than capable of scoring a lot of goals. So it's good for the club, that we've got 3 forwards that are fighting it out and all looking on top of their games at the moment. So I want to play. The manager knows that, but I'd say if he continues with the front 2, I can't really argue, and I obviously have to keep doing what I'm doing when I get the chance to come on.
Yeah, Byron really is, even though he didn't score on Saturday, he's causing problems, isn't he? Right from the start, and causing defenders all sorts of problems.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've tried to speak to him a fair bit, and I've told him if he's on top of his game each week, then he can do that. There's no reason that every game we go into he can't dominate centre halves, and hopefully he continues to do what he's doing. You know, he's listening. I think he's, you know, implementing his game on opposition straight away, and you're seeing a good Byron. And he needs to continue doing that. There's no point doing it for 5-6 games and then having 5-6 games when you don't. He has to now. He's at an age where he has to be consistent, and he has to do that for 30-40 games a season. And if he does that, then he won't be here and he won't be in League Two. I've told him that he's good enough to be playing higher, but there's a reason he is here, and it's probably his inconsistency that he doesn't do it on a regular basis. So if he can do that for us, then we'll get the benefits and he'll get the benefits. So hopefully he will continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you're quite well placed to comment on this, but if he does find that consistency, how high do you think he could go?
You know, the sky's the limit for him. I think, you know, there aren't many players of his stature, you know, height that have everything that he's got. You know, he's a target man but can run, he's got a good touch and he can finish. So there's not many about, and you only got to look through the leagues. A lot of teams cry out for them. So definitely can play a lot higher than this level. You know, there's no reason he can't be competing in the Championship. And then obviously if you do it there, then anything can happen. You know, you've only got to look around at older players that have, you know, come through the leagues and end up playing in the Premier League. So there's no reason it can't happen, but it's down to Byron. You know, no one else can give it to him. It's up to him what he does and where his career goes. And, you know, hopefully he can, you know, have a good year here, and then he has to have another good year next year and the year after. You can't just, you know, rest on your laurels and think that you've made it. And hopefully, you know, he's listening and learning all the time. And if he plays 30 games this year and scores 20 goals, then, you know, that's a real good season. But then he has to do it again. And like I said, if he does that for Cheltenham and we're still in League Two, then I'm sure someone will come in and buy him and give him that opportunity at a high level, and then he has to do it again. And, you know, hopefully he can do that. You know, he's at a good age. He seems a good lad. He seems to listen. But I think he has that tendency where he can go back to his old sort of ways and be a bit laid back. And, you know, you think, well, where's that talent gone? And he can look, you know, like an average player, which he isn't. But he's got that tendency for that to happen, and hopefully he can come through that and build on what he's doing at the moment.
Yeah, I know you always look after yourself, keep yourself fit, but in terms of easing yourself back into it, do you think it could actually work out quite well since the shoulder injury? You've had, you know, a couple of shorter and then a slightly longer run out.
Yeah, I think so. I think when I spoke to Wezzo about when my calf sort of went, because I was 5 weeks in and I was ready to go, and I think the shoulder, the calf kept me out for another 2 weeks, and we felt that maybe that had probably helped the shoulder. Now obviously I've come back and had a few more sort of run outs, so yeah, you know, it probably in the long run hopefully will help, and I'll end up, you know, playing more games this season. Yeah,
one away from the 250, and I've already read in the Sun last week that you've already sort of got in the back of your mind 300, so you've certainly got no intention of calling it a day anytime soon.
No, not at all. You know, I still feel great, so the plan hopefully will just, you know, go again after this year, and then hopefully go again, you know, after that one. So there's nothing in my mind that's saying, you know, this is my last year and next year will be my last. It's a case of, you know, take it as it comes. I feel good, so yeah, I'll be looking at 800 games, 300 goals hopefully at some point.
Yeah, not a bad thing to aim for, is it? Not many people get anywhere near eyes with them.
No, definitely. I mean, you've got to have targets. I think that's what keeps me going anyway, and once I hit one, my next thought is the next one. So, you know, 250 is great, but, you know, if I'm still playing, then why not try and go for 300? And I think I'm on 720 games maybe, so why not try and get to 800? You know, there's no reason why you can't. And if suddenly you're happy with what you've achieved, then you end up standing still. So, you know, I don't think I ever am. I'm always pushing for more, and I'll continue to do that until I basically have to retire. And if I don't make it, you know, I'll give it my best shot to try and get to those sort of targets.
Yeah, it's also interesting that you obviously, everyone would say you're a model pro now, but there were times earlier on you think you maybe could have been a bit more dedicated than you weren't.
Oh, definitely. I'm probably the complete opposite, you know, from where I started as a kid to now. You know, I did everything probably you shouldn't have done. But that was purely, I suppose you're young, you don't understand, you think that your career's going to go on forever and you can get away with it a lot more. You know, as you're young, you can do a lot more stuff to your body and it accepts it, but you hit certain ages and it doesn't, and you have to either stop doing what you're doing or you end up probably retiring a lot earlier than you want. So, yeah, I'm the first to admit that as a kid, you know, I probably had all the talent in the world and was probably destined to play at the top level for a long time, and I just didn't do the right things and probably took it for granted that I had that talent and it would always be there, and, you know, I didn't need to work at it. But you do learn quite quick in this game, and things have a habit of biting you, and you end up from being at a top league to, you know, dropping down a few levels and you got to start again. So it happened to me, but I'd say I've managed to sort of, you know, come round and realise what I need to do. And I think now I probably live completely different and probably maybe to the other way now, and I probably don't do the other side and enjoy myself a bit more, but it is completely total to football. You know, every day is about being ready to train, and after every game it's, you know, what am I doing to prepare for the next game? And if I don't do that, then, you know, I probably won't make 800 games. And I think if I do give my, you know, do try that, then it gives me every opportunity to reach the goals I want. So yeah, most people probably see me now from back in the day and see a totally different Jamie, but you know, that's what I've had to do to continue playing.
Yeah, just finally, Jamie, did you play at Dagenham for Exeter last season?
Yeah, I scored. Yeah, we drew 1-1. I think it was a Tuesday night. I managed to score in the second half, the equaliser. So yeah, it'd be nice to be a part of the game on Saturday and hopefully this time score a winner.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, Jamie.